Alright, in this video I just wanted to show a few of the things you don't normally see when people talk about PIATs. They're just the extras, and it's nice to sort of see them. This here is the fuse container, the one that carries the actual fuses that go in the nose. Normally there's a metal clip on here, and that would allow you to clip it to the tail. So you would have your tail here, and these are shipped clipped inside like that to protect them from any possible damage. The 426 fuses you have to be careful with also, because try to get it there. Because the 426 fuse was known for, if there's rough handling on it, basically if you airdropped your bombs and the parachute didn't open up properly, these would impact hard enough to set back the 426 fuse, which, if you watch my other video, would cause instant detonation as soon as you pull the trigger on your PIAT. Inside, right here, I have a shipping plug which mimics a 426 fuse, so that's the size that you would normally have for the 426 fuse. And normally all PIAT bombs have one of these in there, and this cap is screwed on just to protect the tip of it so it doesn't get damaged in transit. So that's just there as a protector. Sometimes people sell them as dummy fuses. That's not the case, and if they're doing that, they're probably just trying to trick you into buying something that's not really anything important. From there, we have, I also apologize, you notice a movement on this camera. My tripod broke, it fell over. Anyways, so I'm holding this by hand, or which makes sense, I guess. If you're holding something, it is by hand. So I'll move those aside. Next on the list would be another thing that goes to the back of the PIAT bomb, which is this. This in here is the clip that clips into the PIAT launcher. And you can see it's in pretty bad condition, this one, because it was dug out of the ground. And normally clips over that ring that's there. And that basically is what slides into the launcher and holds the bomb in place, so that even if you're on the on a negative angle, like aiming out a window or whatever, you are able to actually hit the tank and it won't slide out. It also gives some sort of pressure on it, which keeps you from, well, when the spigot goes through, instead of it accidentally pushing the round forward, which would cause non-firings or failure of fires, and if it's moved a little bit forward, you throw off the whole ballistic, I guess, curve of the round, because there'll be less, I can't explain the exact thing, but just like my PIAT, when I remade the shell of the cartridges on it, if there's any variance in the way the cartridges were made, even if it's the same amount of powder, and the powder didn't burn up properly in it because say the length was off a little bit or whatever, you'd get completely different variances in the actual round firing. So you'd get range issues, and I have a bunch of those on firings that I did after the video I made on firing the PIAT, and I linked it to basically the idea that there wasn't constant force on the back of this thing here, because all the charges were the exact same amount everything was built as it should be, but if the shell was a little bit longer, or if it had a little bit more sponge on it because of the plastic from the shotgun shell, or too much whatever, it basically would fire erratically. And a clip like this, which holds on hard, tough enough that allows the cartridge to detonate before it separates from the launcher, ensures that it's fired properly. There's no variance in that. Original ones apparently had 3 of these little clips. This one here is a later ones with 4. And the last thing I wanted to show were the actual cartridges. This is a, I guess, made safe version. They drill a hole in it, get the powder out, and they fire the primers on them. As you see, it's basically 2 pieces of brass, one in the other. And this basically sits in the actual PIAT up here. So when you hear somebody saying, sits right up here. If you hear somebody saying that the PIAT is spring fired and it uses a big spring to launch, that's not true. The spring is mainly a recoil regulating system on it. The spring pushes basically a giant firing pin that hits this, and this is what does the actual distance, or causes the projectile to fly the actual distance. The spring by itself would do pretty much nothing. It would launch it maybe if you're lucky 4 feet away. Anyways, that's the main cartridge. And I have 2 halves here, which are the back half. This usually ends up right next to the launcher. There's a hole in the bottom for it to fall out of on the launcher tray, and that's usually where it comes out of. As you see, there's a piece of brass in there and then a bunch of cardboard. And that's how the back end of them are made. Interesting thing also that I've had sent to me, the other 2 things that you see here, and this is an apparent thing, I can't completely guarantee it, but it makes sense to me. These are the front, there goes one of them, but these are the front ends of these cartridges. So basically, you have the cartridge here, you have your back end here, and the front end, since it's traveling with the bomb, and it hits a target with the bomb, ends up becoming, well, when the bomb explodes, it forces everything back with the explosion. And this is basically the ideal situation for this piece here. And they spent a lot of time trying to make it get to that point. Because if for whatever reason it exploded and the back end here stayed intact, you've basically got a barrel, and that piece of brass would actually come back and could potentially kill the person who fired it, because it follows the same, or possibly the same I guess ballistic profile or parabolic curve, whatever you want, just it's a little bit faster, because it's basically an explosively formed projectile. And that's what the reason they changed the bomb design to the number 4, I think, design, was because they were trying to avoid that. Doctrine, or in the manuals, basically tell you when you fire this to duck your head down, just in case a piece comes back. And when they found the few pieces that did come back, they were able to locate, it was made out of brass. So it's basically these things here coming back, but formed as an EFP, or an explosively formed projectile coming back at the people. Don't know if the actual number 4 bomb really did solve that issue, or if it was just something rare that happened anyway, because I guess it all depends on where the tube is pointing or the tail is pointing when it explodes. It's got to be pretty rare for it to be aimed right exactly back at you with the speed profile, the speed of the bomb versus the speed of that thing coming back. It would make sense that even if it came back like this, you wouldn't know most of the time because it'd probably go way over your head. Anyways, apparently that's what this is. These are the front ends of the cartridges here, and they're destroyed because of the fact that they were part of the bomb, and they did get ejected with the tail when the bomb explodes, and that's what's left apparently. This is once again somebody who was metal detecting in the area of a shooting range, I think, for these things, and that's where they found this. Anyways, I know it's not as exciting and interesting as videos of PIATs firing and videos of how everything works, but these are also parts of the PIAT that are important to its basically function. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing a couple of these little things that you usually don't see, and hopefully I'll have a new tripod, and hopefully I'll have a couple of good videos coming up. I am working on a few, but I really just don't have much time with work, so they do take a while. Anyways, thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, and have a good one.